Tom Hammond, congratulations to the Philadelphia 76ers. They advance. Here are the lineups today. Game 4, San Antonio with Elliott, Duncan, Robinson, Ellie, and Johnson. The T-Wolves desperate to win. They extend it to 5. Smith, Garnett, and Garrett. They're very tall. Peeler and Brandon. Someone needs to score for Minnesota besides Garnett and Brandon. The rest of the team ice cold in Game 3. Garnett earned the tip, and here we go. The Wolves in white, and this is Terrell Brandon. Second leading scorer in the season at 14. Anthony Peeler, their three-point shooter. Here's Kevin Garnett. Smith from 17, and they need Joe Smith to register some points today. He has not done much in the first 3 games.
Joe Smith, a key ingredient chemistry-wise, has been badly outplayed, Dick, by David Robinson and Tim Duncan. Couldn't be a better start. They need energy, they need offense, they need some perimeter jumpers to go down for Minnesota.
Into the Admiral, and David Robinson's hook shot not there. Duncan tip, and it's tied at 2. Well, it's a dominant force, those two, Tim Duncan and David Robinson.
You said it at the outset, Dick. They're very tall.
Terrell Brandon answers at the other end. And it's tied at 4. Make that 4-2 Timberwolves. Sean Elliott not there. Out of bounds to Minnesota. If you look at Flip Saunders, a 44-year-old head coach. Boy, he's active. Played his college ball here in Minneapolis at the University of Minnesota.
Flip Saunders begging his team to get into the up-tempo style that they desperately need to get back into this series.
Peeler inside to Dean Garrett. Not there, and Ellie pulls down the rebound. Here come the Spurs, the #1 seed. They and Utah tied with the best record regular season. Big battle between Robinson and Garrett in the hole, and the whistle will go against Garrett of Minnesota.
This is a very tough call as Greg Popovich signals the out-of-bounds play, but Dean Garrett had the position. Looked like David Robinson just threw him out of the way and then started windmilling the arms the way the great offensive forces do, drawing the referee's attention.
Pair of 5'11" guards, Avery Johnson for San Antonio, and he's defended by Terrell Brandon, Minnesota. The runner by Johnson, not there. Robinson rebounds and can't hit. Rebound Duncan. And it's tied at 4. 2 tip-ins by, or putbacks by Tim Duncan, giving San Antonio its points.
Where is the defensive rebounding for Minnesota? Kevin Garnett, Dean Garrett, and Joe Smith have to do a much better job physically of denying position to the taller, more rangy Spur front line, particularly Robinson and Duncan.
So Sean Elliott trying to deny position inside. He picks up the foul for San Antonio. Brandon caught in midair. Now to Garnett, who's a good outside shooter. The big man can hit from 20 feet in.
Greg Popovich told us that the Spurs' defensive strategy is to make Terrell Brandon be a shooter. Don't let him be the passer. Wild post-entry pass by Sean Elliott. That ball had to have been deflected. There was no chance that Sean would throw a pass. That's crazy.
It goes to Minnesota, and here comes Brandon. Acquired in that 3-team trade that involves Stephon Marbury in March. Anthony Peeler. It's 8-4 Minnesota. Peeler's first points.
Peeler is the barometer. Flip Saunders telling us that he's the one that has to be that spark plug, the guy that gets the team going. He can create his own shots.
Elliott at Duncan. Back to Mario Ellie. Duncan inside to Robinson. It's batted away to San Antonio with 2 seconds on the shot clock.
The inexperience of Minnesota. Why double-team Mario Ellie and leave Tim Duncan wide open? But now Minnesota has to use the shot clock as a defensive ally.
Avery Johnson has it pass knocked away and out of bounds to Minnesota. Off the hands of Sean Elliott. Here come the T-Wolves. They lead 8-4. They've made 4 of their first 5 shots,
which is a marked improvement. First half of Game 3, holding foul on Mario Ellie. First half of Game 3, Dick, 26% shooting in a horrendous occasion as they exploded for 71 points.
Yeah, the fans were cheering it. They just hit iron. I mean, they weren't even close.
Joe Smith has got to take Sean Elliott through it all the way to the hoop. No fadeaway here.
Heavy traffic, muscled and fouled is Joe Smith. David Robinson's first foul. Now the Twin Towers, Tim Duncan and David Robinson, they do it all. Score, rebound, block shots, but in game 3, each had 7 assists.
And that's what separates championship level teams. The ability of Tim Duncan and David Robinson to put the assists on the board. They're averaging 7.5 assists between them in this series to go along with dominating the boards and blocking the shots. That just makes the opponents helpless as they spin around wondering where that ball even is.
Joe Smith with 4 points, and Minnesota builds a 6-point early lead. And the crowd very much into this game. They were not on Thursday night, and there's the block. Dean Garrett up to deny.
Dean Garrett inserted into the starting lineup in an attempt to get bigger in game 2. It worked magnificently as it has continued here. An emotional lift by Garrett.
Sean Elliott drives the baseline and he is blocked. Robinson able to pick up the garbage. It's 10-6. And he is fouled. And that's what has hurt Minnesota and the rest of the NBA opponents throughout the year, that the Spurs get so many second chances at the offensive end.
Like Utah, is always a parade to the foul line for a team like San Antonio with these devastating offensive weapons.
It remains 10-6 with 8:25 left in this opening quarter. Brandon slipping and gets it to Garrett.
San Antonio's defense is so solid fundamentally.
They allowed just 40% shooting for their opponents on the season, leading the league for the second straight year. Bad shot by Kevin Garnett.
Why would Kevin Garnett fade away when Mario Elie guarding him from 18 feet to the corner? Turn and face or back him down, get to the hoop, into the line.
Avery Johnson working on Brandon. Robinson from outside. Rebound Brandon. Here come the T-Wolves, leading 10-6.
Trying to get into that up-tempo game, but Avery Johnson is denying Terrell Brandon in the transition.
Taylor doesn't use the pick by Garnett, and Garrett hits the jumper. It's 12-6. He has his first bucket.
The San Clemente, California native by way of Indiana University, graduate 1988, Dean Garrett.
Robinson alone at the free throw line and badly misses again, and Garnett sweeps the rebound.
Phenomenal athleticism by Kevin Garnett. Duncan and Robinson, even George Mikan here in attendance today, always marveling at that athleticism.
The drive by Anthony Peeler, and the T-Wolves are starting to howl. 14-6, and the fans love it at the Target Center.
The NBA on NBC is brought to you by Coors Light. It's frost brewed to tap the clean taste of the Rockies. By the Wide Track Grand Prix by Pontiac. Wider is better. And by the irresistible taste that makes you say, did somebody say McDonald's?
In the heart of Minneapolis, the Target Center, we welcome you to Game 4. Dick Enberg with Bill Walton. The T-Wolves trying to force Game 5 in San Antonio on Sunday. This is a much different team and crowd than we saw on Thursday night.
With Thursday night, it was all Terrell Brandon and Kevin Garnett, who virtually did everything that was done in a 71-point team outburst. Tonight, though, everybody else has contributed, as every starter has scored for Flip Saunders. Peeler, hot, as is Dean Garrett. Dean Garrett getting the job done defensively as well. And an emotional start here, charged up by this supportive crowd.
Take Brandon and Garnett out of the picture, and the rest of the team is 4 for 4 here in the opening quarter. They made only 11 of 44 in Game 3.
While David Robinson is off to a very slow start. David Robinson 1 for 5 after 17 points and 18 rebounds in Game 3.
Stan Mitchell with his first foul. Elliott and finally to the top of the key. Duncan from 17, short. Rebound, Brandon.
They have not gone San Antonio to Tim Duncan down low yet.
Mitchell with Elliott. Garnett with Robinson. Duncan. And he can't handle Joe Smith. It's Smith on the drive. Smith, who has scored only 7, 4, and 7 in the 3 games.
This is huge for Joe Smith and the Timberwolves. Now, another guy to compete up front with the men in the paint with Kevin Garnett.
Duncan down low, and Garnett with another rebound. And here come the T-Wolves with a 10-point lead. 12-point lead as Terrell Brandon connects. Nothing falling for San Antonio. 3 chances, nothing there. And finally Garnett and Ellie with a jump.
Even though Minnesota is winning with plays like this by Joe Smith driving right by and Brandon pulling up in a delayed offense, it's the fact that Minnesota is giving up the defensive boards. Easily controlled there, but San Antonio pushing the T-Wolves underneath.
Oh, the long pass for Smith just off the fingertips, and it'll be San Antonio the other way. Here's Avery Johnson with the ball. He was impeccable in game 3, 12 for 15.
There hasn't been as much double teaming. The T-Wolves told us that would be their strategy. Robinson a little reluctant to shoot here. The perimeter jumpers not falling for David or Tim, and they're trying to get to the hoop, and resultantly to the foul line. Another foul on Joe Smith.
His first. So Elliott will trigger it in from the sidelines. Avery Johnson.
And Terrell Brandon doing a much better job.
Johnson finally open and off the front of the rim, and San Antonio is cold today as Minnesota was on Thursday night. Joe Smith from outside. Rebound Ellie. On the run to Robinson, and the big man earns 2 free throws. As Joe Smith fouled him, that'll be his second.
Foolish foul.
Let's go to Jim Gray.
All right, thank you, Dick. Well, Flip Saunders told his team a couple things before the game. So far, they're all working out. First, he told them they must come with more energy. Second, he told them we must contest Avery Johnson. Right now, he has no points. He also told them we need an inside presence. They're getting that right now. Finally, he told Sam Mitchell and Kevin Garnett that they must be the key today to get the team past the disappointment. And finally, just one word on the bulletin board today: win. Dick?
Well, they're playing tough early, and here comes the youngster from Slovenia, Radislav Nesterovic. They like him. He's 7 feet tall, just 22 years of age. Played in Italy the past season, just joined the team, been here for 3 games.
He's got very nice hands, an intelligent player, well-rounded, well-skilled player, much in the mold of so many of the international players from Europe. Offensive foul initially for Nesterovic.
For a block.
Dick, the foul by Joe Smith was a waste. David Robinson had him in transition. There's going to be a lot of opportunities for Joe Smith to have impact on this game. You can't make every play against someone as talented as Robinson.
Nesterovic against Robinson, and looks as if he has his first foul. Yes. Go courtside for every playoff game with NBA.com's Courtside Live. It's your high-tech ticket for real-time shot charts, live play-by-play, and complete in-game stats for every playoff player and team. And how about night audio, video highlights, inside scoop from NBA.com commentators, all at NBA.com, your ultimate online resource for the NBA playoffs. And correction, Nesterovic has his second foul in less than a minute, replacing Joe Smith, who's on the sidelines with 2.
San Antonio's strategy is to get Minnesota in foul trouble. San Antonio is a team that has the depth advantage. They have more front court players, particularly Will Perdue and Malik Rose.
Terrell Brandon from the side, and it's 20-9 Minnesota.
Complete reversal of fortune here. Minnesota, which relies on being an offensive team and those jumpers falling, they couldn't throw it in one of the 10,000 lakes here on Thursday night.
Ellie unable to connect. Garnett rebound. Here's Brandon. Robinson knocks it away, and that'll give Avery Johnson an easy one at the other end. So Johnson, who had 24 to lead San Antonio in Game 3, has his first points today.
David Robinson, a former NBA Defensive Player of the Year as well as MVP. There's not an award that David Robinson has not won.
Rookie of the Year.
Except the championship.
Sam Mitchell drains one from outside his first bucket.
Minnesota is on fire. San Antonio just has to weather the storm, play their game, get them in foul trouble.
Johnson misses. Elliott follows. And the lead is 9. Elliott's first points.
Minnesota still is not rebounding defensively.
Mitchell. Oh, look at Garnett. Keep it alive. Nesterovic knocks it out of bounds.
Minnesota is shooting 10 for 14 field goals. That is a remarkable turnaround from Game 3.
Against a team that has allowed around 40% for the playoffs, as they did opponents throughout the year, San Antonio.
2 record-setting years for San Antonio in opponent's field goal percentage.
Inside to Robinson with young Nesterovic. Outside Elliott for 2. And he drains his 4th point.
Sean telling us that his knees are feeling so much better now that he's back into a rhythm of one game, day off, one game, day off, as opposed to the irregular regular season.
Garnett working on Duncan, and Duncan fouls him. And Duncan wide-eyed at the call. But boy, what a first step by Kevin Garnett. Timeout. The Wolves by 7. T-Wolves and their leader, he's only 22, from high school to the NBA, Kevin Garnett, and new teammate Terrell Brandon joins the legion of fans of Garnett.
He's just a Tasmanian devil out there. I mean, he's 100% all out, and I think as I play with him, I have a little bit more respect for what he stands for. I mean, he just has a tremendous talent, and he's just going to get better as he gets older. I think that the fans have a treat on their hands for the future.
Another Legionnaire in that fan club, Dick, is David Robinson, who told me that he was so impressed with the maturity of Kevin Garnett. For a guy who went straight from high school, just a remarkable growth period now. He'll turn 23 this coming week?
Next Wednesday. Makes 1 out of 2, and so the T-Wolves lead is 8 points.
Here's that trapping, pressing defense that was effective in regular season games between these two teams. Popovich surprised that Minnesota hasn't utilized it to this point in the playoffs.
Will Perdue has replaced David Robinson, and Jaren Jackson is also in for the Spurs, his first duty. He replaces Elliott.
Good closeout, Brandon.
Double team Duncan. Jackson. And the rebound to Brandon.
Terrell Brandon, who leads the NBA regular season assist to turnover ratio. Fine ball movement.
Brandon left alone on the side, and that's a 3. 26-15 Minnesota, 9 points for Terrell Brandon.
Completely outplaying Avery Johnson. The hardest thing to do, Dick, when you're a player like Avery or Terrell, is to come out and do it every single day.
Nice move by Avery Johnson with the right hand as he won the baseline.
That's what separated Jordan, because no matter what the defense did, no matter who they focused on, Jordan was still going to get his. Jabbar the same way. Wilt.
Garnett against Duncan. And Duncan with a rebound.
Duncan's playing a very disciplined defensive game, knowing that Garnett likes to go to his left, facing the basket. And Garnett is foolishly getting into it with the referees, Terry Durham.
Into the final minute of this opening quarter. Perdue. And Jackson from the side. Up there, and Terrell Brandon with a rebound. 40 seconds left in the quarter.
Go 2 for 1 now if you're Minnesota. Play the shot clock to your advantage.
Mitchell throws a brick. Duncan with his 6th rebound of this quarter. And look at Johnson fly, and he draws the foul. It'll be on Terrell Brandon, and we remind you tomorrow night on NBC, a runaway train carrying a Russian atomic bomb. Brakes are out. City is in its path. A race against time with the fate of millions in the balance. Rob Lowe stars in the NBC movie event Atomic Train tomorrow night, 9/8 Central on NBC.
Foul trouble is absolutely critical for Flip Saunders here because he doesn't have the luxury of going deep into his bench, particularly at the point guard position behind Terrell Brandon or at the forward position or whatever position it is that Kevin Garnett plays.
And Avery Johnson at the line, much like Brandon, small, 5'11", and you just have to admire the Avery Johnsons of the NBA. He wasn't drafted out of Southern. He's been waived. He's been cut 6 times in his career. Just persevered and has become truly a top-notch guard in this league.
And one of the most engaging personalities, always upbeat, gives of his time willingly, freely, all year long to charities of anybody's choosing.
Final seconds, 6 seconds separate the shot and game clock. As former Minnesota Gopher Jackson drives, gives to Mitchell, blocked by Duncan. Jackson picks it up. 7 seconds left. Wide open is Avery Johnson goaltending Kevin Garnett. Now they caught the Timberwolves back defensively and beat them down court, and Avery Johnson suddenly with 8 points, and Minnesota's lead is carved to just 5. 3, 2, 1, and Garnett misses, and that's the quarter. A hot start for the home team, the Minnesota Timberwolves, led by Terrell Brandon's 9 points and 4 rebounds and 3 assists. The leading assist man for Minnesota in game 3 had 2. It's 26-21. You're watching the NBA on NBC. 26-21 after the opening quarter. Minnesota with the lead. They led by as much as a dozen at 18-6. Kirby Puckett, Minnesota hero, the great Twins outfielder here in attendance. Lots of stars here. George Mikan. They saw him earlier today, who part of that great early history of Minneapolis basketball, the old Lakers.
So many championships, 5, I believe. So many Hall of Famers.
Antonio Daniels in for San Antonio to open the second quarter. And also Malik Rose sees his first duty. Jaren Jackson, he's 0 for 3 off the bench. Fights for his own rebound, and his own man, Tim Duncan, takes it away.
Fans wanted traveling, and that is a traveling violation when 2 members of the same team have their hands on the ball at the same time.
Duncan, one of the starters, left in, and piece of it from Nesterovic. Jackson, Bobby Jackson takes it all the way. Nesterovic tips it home. Rasho Nesterovic has his first points.
They keep challenging Tim Duncan. This guy is a great shot blocker. First team all-league defensive player. In only his 2nd year in the league, joining Scottie Pippen and Karl Malone up front, along with Alonzo Mourning.
It's the 4th try by Jackson, and he misses again. Nesterovic flicks the rebound. Here comes Bobby Jackson.
If they can get anything out of Bobby Jackson, that will be a huge plus.
Malik Sealy, his first shot of the game. And the former star for St. John's out of Bronx, New York, makes it 30-21. Avery Johnson on the bench after he scored the final 6 points in a 6-0 San Antonio run to end the opening quarter. But the second quarter starts as the game did, with Minnesota hot.
Everyone contributing for Flip Saunders. Bobby Jackson down.
Welcome back to Minnesota. The Timberwolves lead by 9. I'm Jim Gray. I'm now joined by the general manager, Kevin McHale of the Timberwolves. Kevin, there's been so much written, a lot of conjecture about you leaving at the end of the season. Will you be back next year?
Well, I don't know if I can get Bill Walton to come play for me. Maybe I will come back.
You'll definitely be picking first in the draft if you have Walton, but are you going to come back?
You know, I mean, we got a lot of work to do here. I got to go through this draft and really try to put this team together and do a lot of work with the individual players. So, you know, I mean, we got to go into next year and improve our game, our team.
Basket by Kersey there. You lost Gugliotta, you lost Marbury. A lot of it was out of your control. Is there anything that you might have done differently?
Well, there's really not much you can do. I mean, you make good offers to people. If they say, no, I don't want to be there, there's really nothing you can do. So you move on from there. We're really just trying to get to the point where we have two top 14 picks this year, 14 and then New Jersey's draft. And we're going to have to improve our team, and we're going to have to be creative, and that's my job.
Smith and Brandon are free agents. Do you hope to keep them?
Yeah, I would like to keep them, and we like them both. We think that they both can help us a lot, and we got to add pieces to that. We're still, we're still a ways away, but we're not that far away. Kevin Garnett's a tremendous player. We'll build around him.
Final thought, Kevin. How do you attract other players to want to come up here and play with Garnett?
Well, I mean, it's one of those deals where you're going to have to draft some guys. You have to be creative, and I'm not sure how much luring you have. I know one thing. If you have money, they come.
You have some money. Good luck to you, Kevin. Thank you. Back over to you, Dick.
Simple formula, huh? Well, that was the second foul on Tim Duncan that sent Kevin Garnett to the line.
Kevin McHale was telling Jim Gray about he offered a lot of money at the start of the year. He offered $150 million between Gugliotta and Stephon Marbury in a 24-hour period, and they both turned him down. My, how times have changed.
Now San Antonio with David Robinson returning with Duncan sitting 2 fouls. Antonio Daniels from three-point range. And the Spurs make it 31-26. The Wolves by 5 early in the second quarter.
Spurs have played with great poise, even though the energy has been in favor of Minnesota with their traps, with their presses, with their scrambling and fast breaks. But they're right there. They just have to wait for Minnesota to cool off.
Malik Sealy, tough shot. Pressured by Jackson. Comes back out to the Minnesota Jackson. Bobby. And he fires. 33-26. First points for Bobby Jackson.
Minnesota has had great success when they've extended their defense. Here, Bobby Jackson picking up Antonio Daniels. When the other guards, Terrell Brandon, Peeler, Malik Sealy, can get out and slow down the offense, it really works.
Jaren Jackson finally connects, and it's a big one. The three-pointer makes it 33-29. Something we should say too, Bill, in watching the San Antonio second unit, that defense that has been so outstanding the past 2 years, you got to give a lot of credit to these guys off the bench. They play tough too. Jackson with a rebound.
And they play a fierce defense, very rugged, like this guy here, Malik Rose, Jerome Kersey, Jaren Jackson, just tough fighters.
And Rose going up for the shot and draws the foul.
When you look at the defensive ranks of the San Antonio Spurs in the NBA this season, regular season, blocks first, field goal percentage, opponents first, three-point field goal percentage, opponents second, points allowed third, and the other two teams ahead of them in points allowed were in the Eastern Conference, a much lower scoring conference. So this is the NBA's best defensive team.
First points for Malik Rose as he was fouled by Bobby Jackson, and suddenly what was once a 12-point T-Wolf advantage is down to 3 and a chance to pick away another point.
Malik Rose at the line. Went to Drexel University, which he often refers to as the 6th school in Philadelphia's Big 5.
Had his best game in Philadelphia against the 76ers earlier this year. So a 2-point lead now for Minnesota, and a whistle away from the ball on Jaren Jackson of San Antonio, his first.
Did you mention that second unit defense? They come in, and in support of David Robinson, they know they're playing limited minutes, so fouls are not really a problem. They can get very assertive, take some hard fouls, and change the tempo, the tenor of the game.
Joe Smith back in for Minnesota. So Brandon Sealy-Smith with a shot. And rebound Jerome Kersey, who had his great seasons with the Portland Trail Blazers, but a lot of playoff experience. Good man to have at this time of the year. And Jaren Jackson from Georgetown, one of 3 undrafted players that have made the San Antonio roster. And the game is tied. At the 7:29 mark, Jaren Jackson with back-to-back hoops. And Flip Saunders' T-Wolf lead has been reduced and is now dead even at 33 all. Welcome back. Avery Johnson has sparked the comeback late in the first quarter, and San Antonio's gone on to shoot 57% in this second quarter to only 38% for Minnesota, just the reverse of the shooting in the opening quarter.
Antonio Daniels has done a fine job, too, of replacing Avery. He's denied Terrell Brandon, who hasn't been able to get back into his flow.
Brandon saw Robinson, had to kick it back out to Smith. Sam Mitchell from the side, and he hits over Jerome Kersey. Minnesota back in front. 4 points for Mitchell.
Sam Mitchell playing with a very painful right knee that will require surgery at the end of the season.
David Robinson, the only starter on the court for San Antonio. It's a very small Spurs team.
But when you have David Robinson to back him up, Dick, as Malik Rose hits the foul line jumper, something a real benefit there for Greg Popovich. Popovich telling us that even though that Tim Duncan got first-team all-league defense, that it's David Robinson who is far and away the best defender on his team.
Brandon from long range. Joe Smith with a rebound, and he is fouled. And Smith in some pain. Been a tough week for Joe. His mother here watching the game on Thursday night had some irregular heartbeats and was taken to the hospital, and she was watched carefully yesterday. He lost his father to a heart attack just 6 weeks ago, so there's a lot on Joe Smith's mind.
Joe, as the youngest of 7 children, is now in charge of everything for the family. Joe only played 2 years of college basketball, and his mother, Letha, who had to go to the hospital, she's doing much better, although she's not attending today's game. She's home watching it on television.
6.5 minutes left in this first half. Tie at 35. Reach in, and Antonio Daniels picks up his first foul.
Remember at the beginning we talked about how on Minnesota it was a two-man game between Garnett and Terrell Brandon. Well, today it's Duncan and Robinson who are not getting it done. They're only 3 for 13 between the two of them for San Antonio, 23%. The rest of the team 9 for 20, almost 50% for Greg Popovich's Spurs.
Kevin Garnett over the much shorter Daniels, and David Robinson with a help out, and then Robinson scrambles into the corner to come up with the ball.
Fans wanted traveling. Kevin McHale and Flip Saunders want that jumper for Kevin Garnett to go down.
Daniels with a fine drive, and Popovich says that should be goaltending as well. And no, it'll be a 2-shot foul. Coming up on NBC.
It's NBC's big finale Thursday with the all-new 1-hour season finales of Friends, Frasier, and ER. NBC Thursday.
You won't want to miss must-see TV Thursday night. Antonio Daniels well short.
The block by Kevin Garnett was as spectacular a play as we've seen. The foul is called down below. That elbow was above the rim there as he pushed it into the board, which is clearly legal. The referee's right on top of the play, Terry Durham.
Daniels, the former star at Bowling Green, gives San Antonio its first lead at 36-35.
Antonio Daniels, one of the most articulate, well-spoken, intelligent young players coming into the league today.
Well, baby. Basically the starting unit on the floor now for Minnesota. Tim Duncan still on the bench for San Antonio as Kersey with a steal. Oh, had trouble finding the handle, and Malik Rose called for traveling. And that's the dinosaur in this game. Kind of fun now to see a traveling call. You hardly ever. I mean, you can go a lot of games not see one of those.
Even though it was a poor play by Malik Rose, I don't have any problem with that, nor does Greg Popovich, as he brings so much passion and so much energy to the way he plays. He's going to make a few mistakes, but none of those mistakes will be because he's not focused, he's not prepared, he's not trying to do his best to help his team win. Avery unable to get into the game there.
Here's a startling statistic. Speaking of not into the game, Garnett, despite his defense, is 1 for 7 shooting. And there's the steal by Ellie, and then the foul by Brandon to deny the breakaway. And that's 3 on Terrell Brandon.
And in the other games, when Terrell has gone to the bench with foul trouble or needed a rest, that is when Minnesota has fallen apart. Tim Duncan back into the game as Rose and Daniels go out. Avery Johnson also returns. Duncan and Robinson, poor offensive shooting percentage. Rest of the team keeping them in contention. Actually have them on top right now.
Well, that's why they were 37-13 and finished 31-5. That it's a team contribution despite those two great stars, the Twin Towers.
And of those 5 losses, they lost to Phoenix, Toronto, Dallas. Oh,
what a save by Robinson. He was out of bounds to control the pass and then rams it home. 38-35 San Antonio. Brandon stays in with 3 fouls. Joe Smith is short. Duncan rebounds.
Joe hit his first shot and has been struggling offensively ever since. He needs to get to the basket. Forget the fade away from the perimeter.
This is a 12-2 run for the Spurs. Good ball movement. 9 on the clock. 7. It's Kersey. Rebound. Joe Smith got in front of Robinson. 4.5 minutes left in this first half. As Anthony Peeler looking for a 3-point opportunity. Smith wide open. 38-37 San Antonio. 8 points for Joe Smith.
San Antonio patiently waited for the T-Wolves to come back to earth, which they have. And now foul called here on Dean Garrett.
Garrett trying to deny Tim Duncan down low.
Penetration to the basket, drawing the double team, kicking it out. That is championship level basketball. That's what the Spurs do magnificently, and the T-Wolves are trying to find that style that will work for them. Joe Smith, who's #1 draft choice. There's 3 of them overall in this series. Duncan, Robinson, and Joe Smith.
A ticket Peeler for that last foul on the backside, his first. Sean Elliott plays it into Avery Johnson. So this is the starting unit on the floor for Greg Popovich. Robinson, Duncan, Avery Johnson, Sean Elliott, and Mario Elie. Duncan, tough turnaround. Joe Smith rebounds. Timberwolves looking to regain the lead. Just under 4 left in the half.
Joe Smith starting to make things happen. The closeout defense for San Antonio is so solid.
Peeler for 3. Robinson with a tough rebound ahead to Elie. 2-on-1 with Elliott. And Elie takes it in himself, and he draws the foul from Peeler, his second.
Mario Elie is fierce going to the hoop. The San Antonio bench, they want a flagrant foul here. And it looks like there may be some blood involved. A hard foul right on top of the face, and that should be a flagrant foul.
22nd timeout taken by Greg Popovich.
But this guy, Mario Elie, is as tough as they come.
Boy, did he take a belt from Peeler.
Remember, it was back in 1996 when he was playing for the Houston Rockets. At the top of his game as a 2-time defending champion, that he got undercut on the way to the hoop. He fell and broke his arm, Dick, in January. He's got 7 screws and 2 plates in his right forearm. Still gives him constant trouble today, and now he's going to have to go to the locker room, and he's got some things to say to the referees here.
If that's what they're going to allow, basically what you're getting in that message, if you're going to let that go at one end, then don't be calling intentional or flagrant when we go the other way. That's not good. Elie, as he departs, there's a rare few players like him that are tough in the locker room. They're tough during the game. Every game, Popovich says he's yelling at somebody to do better.
And that's why they went out and got him. His nickname is Grumbles on the team because he's only happy when the team is winning. And then he's only happy for a little while, just until he starts thinking about what's coming up next.
Well, if you don't make the NBA till you're 27 years of age, you're going to doggone well make every minute count when you're here. So
many stops for Mario Elie along the way. Virtually every place in the world that does play basketball, Mario Elie had his chance there.
So they're taking a full timeout here as they swab the floor after the Elie cut. 3:37 left to the intermission.
Hi, everybody. Hannah Storm in New York. Coming up on the Prudential Halftime Report, we'll hear from Scottie Pippen of the Houston Rockets. After 2 subpar performances, Pippen roared back. 37 points, 13 rebounds to key the Rockets' victory in Game 3 against the Lakers.
It was just determination of not wanting to give up, not wanting to end the season. knowing that, if the season's going to be over with, that I give my best effort. And I came out and just gave it all I had. I mean, I laid everything on the line.
Interesting conversation between Pippen and his former coach with the Bulls, Doug Collins, coming up. Pippen and the Rockets face the Lakers in Game 3 of our triple header. Right now in Minnesota, the Spurs lead the T-Wolves by 1 as we rejoin Dick Enberg, Bill Walton, and Jim Gray.
All right, thank you, Hannah. Let's go to Jim Gray with a report on Mario Elie.
All right, thank you very much, Dick. Mario Elie left the court. They had to take a 20-second timeout, then a full timeout. If he does not shoot these free throws right now, he is not permitted to continue in the game. He's got a deep gash over his right eye. He is going to take these 2 free throws, and the game will be stopped, at which point he will leave the game, go back in and get some stitches because of the blood rule in the NBA. They had to cover it. Dick?
That's his first point, Jim, and what a punishing penalty to Elie, who will have looked like 2-3 stitches there for that cut.
But such a fierce warrior. Remember back in 1994, as Houston was on the way to their first championship in an early round playoff series against Phoenix, the wild Danny Ainge threw a ball right at Mario Elie's face in Game 4. And Mario Elie was going to come back after Danny Ainge. The way he was coming back after that ref for failing to call that flagrant foul. Mario on his way for those stitches right now, but the calming influence took over, fortunately, for Mario Elie, and he'll be back with a lot of his own fire in a moment.
But wounded, but not distracted. He makes the free throws, and it's a 3-point San Antonio lead with 3.5 to play, and Garnett denied again.
San Antonio's defense has scouted Garnett magnificently. They're forcing him to his right. He prefers to go left the way Bob McAdoo did, the way World Be Free used to do.
Avery gets a pick from David Robinson, sends it into Tim Duncan. Garnett rebounds. Well, Duncan and Robinson having their troubles at the offensive end.
And they're ahead. That's what's scary.
Peeler for 3, way off. Avery Johnson.
When you talk to the Spurs, every one of them echoes their coach that the defense is the strength of this championship level team.
And in every sport, when you get to the playoffs, defense does it, doesn't it?
And that's the concern for these young squads like Minnesota, like Milwaukee, like Sacramento.
Duncan miss again. Maybe his worst half of the season. 2 for 9 for Duncan. Bobby Jackson, Garnett, and Joe Smith. 40-39 San Antonio with 2:13 left in the half. 10 points now for Joe Smith. That's his best game of the playoffs. Previous high was 7.
Terrific ball movement, but unless they can establish something inside, I really don't believe that that's going to... Oh, they're calling it...
Anthony Peeler blocks Jaren Jackson out of bounds, and that's the 3rd on Peeler.
And they are going to call this a flagrant foul. They're going to give him...
Minnesota Vikings scouts might want to take a look at the replay of this one. A pretty good looking block. You open a hole.
What a fine football team that Viking squad is. Along the baseline, watch Peeler. He's just going to ride him out of bounds. And if that elbow had been a little bit higher, Terry Durham would have ejected Anthony Peeler. The Vikings, the T-Wolves losing their cool a little bit. You're confusing me now.
Sorry, I should keep it at 1 score.
I'm not as flexible as you are.
Well, Jaren Jackson makes both free throws, and it's a 42-39 Spurs lead as Peeler goes out. And Malik Sealy back in.
Jaren Jackson, who was the valedictorian of his high school in New Orleans, then went on to get that fine degree from Georgetown University. Basketball just a privilege for young Jaren, and he's well aware of that.
He can talk good beignet, too. Down in New Orleans. He's one of those 3 New Orleans Crescent City guys on the San Antonio team. This is another Avery Johnson. To Jackson. Good rebound, Kevin Garnett. That's 8 for Garnett.
Timberwolves doing a better job of getting physical on their defensive backboard and not giving the larger Spurs second chance opportunities.
Good ball movement, and there's Joe Smith. Long pass by Robinson to Jackson. No advantage, so he'll wait for help. 1:17 left in the half. Robinson and boy, Joe Smith, that really got mean. And you don't see David Robinson this angry very often. We have the playoff pressure, the energy, the tempo, and you can see down at the other end, good job by Flip Saunders keeping all of his reserves nailed to the bench. And he'll afford to lose a star player out of such a skirmish.
In transition, the initial contact, the elbows, the fighting for position, Joe Smith had enough. That was the final play. At the beginning of the play, as Garnett is in Duncan's ear, and that's uncalled for by Kevin Garnett. You got to play with more class and dignity than that.
So double fouls and double technicals.
It all started because David Robinson he hit the first time and coming down trying to establish position. Joe Smith was down there, and as a fine offensive player that David is, you do have to hit first to establish yourself. Joe Smith is going to have to go, but in the transition, the first hit back there.
So Smith picks up his third foul.
Joe Smith should not have grabbed him around the neck like that. Elbows to the body, shoulders to the midsection. That's all part of the game. But grabbing around the head and the neck area, Dick, there's no place in any part of basketball for that.
So Joe Smith with 3. David Robinson now has 2. And the officials have basically said that both coaches and teams we're not going to let this go much farther. Now, much of this triggered this emotion from the Mario Elie incident. The Spurs certainly did not forget that what was not called a flagrant foul. Avery Johnson to Robinson. Jaren Jackson from the corner, and Garrett climbs high. Garnett for the rebound.
If you're Minnesota, take it to the basket here because the referees are looking to call a foul.
And you could possibly get the third on the Admiral.
Don't settle for anything on the perimeter.
Garnett fires from outside, but it comes right back to him. That was a good save by Sealy.
Play the shot clock here if you're Minnesota.
Stolen by Jaren Jackson, and here's Avery Johnson with Sealy to beat. And Sealy with a bear hug foul.
The game is getting out of control here. And the players have to make the adjustments here. The flagrant foul that was not called, Dick, as you pointed out on Mario Elie, set the tone. And ever since then, it's just been guys trying to get back. Physical play in the NBA is a part of the game. But it's a lot different from hard fouls, uncalled for like that.
You know, the officials are human. They err as well. But when they look at that replay, they'll know then that they should have called that a flagrant foul.
Well, we have great officials today. Yeah. Dick Bavetta at the top. Terry Durham in that crowd too. Don Vaden, young upcoming official working with these two top veterans, Bavetta and Durham.
Team leading at halftime has won each of the first 3 games of this series, and Avery Johnson now has given San Antonio a 4-point lead.
Now this should be a technical foul for 6 players on the court, because in game 1 of this series, Minnesota was called, no, it was again San Antonio called for a technical foul.
Avery Johnson, he has 10. And this is the biggest lead for San Antonio, 5, with the final seconds of the half ticking away. About a 10-11 second difference in game and shot clock. Bobby Jackson from way outside. Rebound Dean Garrett to Garnett, and he is fouled hard by Purdue, and they're at it again. Tom Hammonds with a push on Purdue after that incident. And this indeed is becoming unpleasantly ugly.
Dick, the problem is now is that guys are getting into the goon mentality where they're thinking it's no longer a game. I just got to get my shot in here. And that is a disaster.
Might not be a bad idea to play the final 17 seconds as part of the second half and let both teams go in and cool off.
I don't understand what Tom Hammonds is doing there. A class guy, Tom Hammonds.
Well, he felt that Purdue was unnecessarily rough on Garnett. Garnett with a handful of jerseys. I just want to remember which one you were.
Dick, I've got your backside if they get anywhere near our broadcast.
I feel safe. You and Paul Newman. So Hammonds and Purdue with a double technical. Now we got Tom Hammond of NBC throwing it out here to watch Tom Hammonds, and Minnesota's television broadcast crew has a Tom Hammond as well. Flagrant foul Purdue against Garnett, and this is the free throw. 2 shots in the ball for the T-Wolves. Garnett with some troubles at the line today. 2 for 4. And now 3 for 5, and it's a 44-40 game. Final 17 seconds of the half.
The only good thing that can be said about all this brutishness has been the fact that nobody has left the bench. They've learned from the past mistakes made by the Knicks and the Miami Heat. But that's still nothing positive really to take note of.
Purdue takes a seat as Gerard King makes his first appearance, number 54 for San Antonio. Minnesota with a 12-point lead in the opening quarter, trailing by 4 here. A shot made here at the end of the half would really boost their mood going into the locker room. And it's Bobby Jackson who fires, and Garnett on the short shot rams it home. Avery Johnson tied up for a moment, and that's the end of the half. 44-42 San Antonio. A bruising opening quarters between the Spurs, and the Timberwolves are fighting to force Game 5 in San Antonio on Sunday. Oh my.
Welcome back to Minnesota as we get ready for the second half. I'm Jim Gray. An 1.5 inch cut over the eye of Mario Ellie required several stitches. It's very deep. He will return. He will play here in the second half. It has been a very, very physical first half. Greg Popovich told me at halftime that it is part of the game plan of Minnesota today, that they are going out intentionally doing this. I asked Flip Saunders that. He said it is not true. However, we will respond. David Robinson told me that he was simply trying to protect himself and will continue to protect himself. As far as the rest of the Spurs, Avery Johnson told me that Utah taught us mental toughness. We will not get anybody thrown out of the game. As for Sam Mitchell, he told me from the Timberwolves side, we will go down fighting. We will not be treated like this. We will fight to the last minute of this game. Dick?
All right, thanks, Jim. Second half underway. Avery Johnson to Sean Elliott, and a whistle in the first 9 seconds, and the foul against Minnesota. The fourth on Dean Garrett.
The referees are going to do everything possible, Dick. You look at the leading scorers here. Avery Johnson and David Robinson leading the way. Joe Smith, best game of the series so far. Terrell Brandon. Kevin Garnett's got to get going now.
Check that. Last foul is on Kevin Garnett, his third. Here comes Terrell Brandon, his early play sparking Minnesota to a 12-point lead in the first quarter. Garnett unable to get another to fall. He's 2 for 11 in the game.
Joe Smith appears to be laboring in his running style. Get a report from Jim Gray on that.
Avery Johnson passes up the 3 to take a shorter 2. Rebound Garnett.
I think if Avery Johnson starts pulling up for 3 early in the shot clock, they can call this series off right now.
And Elliott and his number match, Joe Smith, and Elliott ticketed with his second personal.
This is terrific strategy by Flip Saunders, and it's good to see the guys getting back to playing basketball here. Attack Sean Elliott with your big front line, whoever Sean's guarding. I have it on good authority. After the, beautiful stroke by Joe Smith, can't get it to fall.
And a whistle on the rebound, and it could be on Garnett battling for position. If it is, it'll be his. No, it is not on Garnett. Well, it is Garnett's first foul. Oh, we had 3 before, and now he's got 1. I think the Garnett confusion is getting to the statisticians.
Or the home court advantage.
There you go. Brandon, no look, fires, but he stuns Barrett and Garnett, and it goes out of bounds to the Spurs. 44-42. No one has scored in the first minute and 20 seconds of the second half.
Notice how the early foul calls have diffused the situation.
The steal by Brandon, and the entrepreneur from Portland, Oregon, ties it at 44. Well, Flip Saunders kind of hinted he might try a little full court pressure, and we're seeing some early in this second half.
It's been a successful weapon for the T-Wolves during the season.
Duncan finding room along the baseline for the jam. Only his 6th point.
When Dean Garrett is guarding Tim Duncan on the perimeter like that, Tim's not having a dynamite perimeter game. Let him stroke one before you pressure up and give the easy drive.
Joe Smith blocked by Duncan from behind. And a foul, I believe Smith then grabbing a Duncan.
Joe Smith got his shot rejected from behind. There was contact. Fans are arguing for a foul here, but it was a great block. And then Joe Smith held and impeded the progress of Tim Duncan.
4th foul on Smith. Spurs by 2.
Back off and turn him to the middle here where the help is.
Duncan on the drive and gets the friendly bounce and the foul.
But that's what makes Tim Duncan so special, is that he's got moves going both ways. And that's what Kevin Garnett has to learn how to do. They force him back to where the help is, the collapsing supportive defense all over Duncan's arms. And this is a player, one of the rare ones of the young guys coming up, who's a footwork player at this point in his career.
3-point play, and Dean Garrett picked up his 4th foul, so 2 of the starters for the Wolves with 4 fouls. Garrett and Smith. Here's Garnett. Joe Smith. Picked off by Avery Johnson. Spurs on the run. Elliott, who has shot rarely in this game. And Greg Popovich commending Elliott on his defensive plays. And no one knows how well he has played all year on the defensive end. Misfire by Johnson. Peeler, wide open Brandon. He wants to set up for the 3, but bobbled the ball, takes the 2. Garnett rebound.
They used to call that a double dribble violation.
Peeler can't hit the 3, and Robinson sweeps the board and clears out to Johnson. Around Peeler, no goaltending. Blocked by Joe Smith, and Avery Johnson can't believe it.
It was a perfect call, a perfect non-call. Avery Johnson casually just flips it up there on the reverse thing, and he's got it. Joe hits it on the way up into the board. Good block for the T-Wolves. Popovich can't believe it. The pirouette.
Coaches are good dancers. You notice that?
He might be good at the Olympics, Dick.
Yeah, that ballroom dancing is part of the competition in Sydney.
I'm an outstanding ballroom dancer.
Oh, I know you are. Brandon. Sean Elliott battling his own man, Duncan.
How about Sean Elliott's defense? Like David with the dribble.
Spin move by Duncan on young Rasho Nesterovic, and he has the foul, his 3rd.
Rasho has no real chance. I mean, this is a guy who basically got off the plane 2 days before the regular season ended, signed his contract in the middle of the night, Rasho Nesterovic. And then they put him on a plane at 6 a.m. from Minnesota, flew him down to Houston and said, guard Akeem, your first day into the NBA. He said, looked at Kevin McHale and said, wait a second, how about one practice? How about one team meeting?
Only in America. And we have a timeout as Kevin McHale, many of the Minnesota fans shaking their heads. The Wolves are down by 5.
It's do or die for the Rockets against the Lakers. Crucial game 4. Next. The NBA on NBC is brought to you by Smooth, Refreshing Michelob Light. Beer or Michelob. By Ford F-Series. The best-selling trucks are built Ford tough. And by Nike.
And we welcome you back to the Target Center in Minneapolis. Game 4 with the Spurs, the #1 seed, leading 2-1 and up 49-44 here early in the second half. Tim Duncan's first free throw of the game.
San Antonio has played a more disciplined ball game as they've extended to a 5-point lead. The free throws tonight, Minnesota not getting there whatsoever. And that would be a cause of grave concern to the fans and the coaching staff. But the style of play has been the roughness of the T-Wolves. Field goal percentage, Minnesota 13%. That is a declining slope. You could ski on that graph.
After that wonderful first quarter that pleased Flip Saunders, 55% against the best defensive team in the country, and a travel call goes against Kevin Garnett. Double bounce. Garnett with only 7 points, 2 for 11 field goals. He has done well on the boards, 13 to lead all players. Many turnovers, and of course Minnesota best in the league in that statistic on the season.
Beautiful passing, San Antonio.
Robinson cross-court to Johnson with 3, with 2. Johnson misses everything. Garnett pulls it down, and then the foul in the backcourt. Ellie on Terrell Brandon.
But Ellie's closeout defense, the ability to come in and stop the fast break attack, which Minnesota was getting into right there, not only denies the 2 points, but it also diffuses the crowd and pushes them back in their seats.
Surprised about Philadelphia taking out Orlando in 4 games?
The only thing surprising there was how poor Penny Hardaway played and responded to that big pressure situation. Philadelphia is a terrific team. Larry Brown is fabulous. I'm looking forward to Indiana, Philadelphia, Iverson, Geiger, Theo Ratliff.
Kevin Garnett clearing his way, and with the right hand has his 9th point, and the Spurs lead down to 4. Ellie into Robinson against Nesterovic, and a foul.
David Robinson is salivating. He's just having the time of his life with Nesterovic. Kevin Garnett into the lane, loves to go left, throws it up, and reaches underneath right through the Twin Towers. And then on the same play with the over-the-head look, finding that seam. When you're scoring in the face of the double team of Robinson and Duncan, you've got game.
Peeler with a foul, his 4th, so that means Flip Saunders has 3 starters saddled with 4 fouls here early in the 3rd quarter.
And Peeler with just the 4 points as the barometer. That barometer is falling.
51-46 as Robinson makes 1 out of 2.
Minnesota has 4 points in the first half of the 3rd quarter in the deciding elimination game of the playoffs.
Foul on Avery Johnson, his 2nd.
But you can sense that San Antonio is taking control through their discipline, defense, and control of the backboards.
Mitchell with a move underneath, comes back to save it for Minnesota, and Brandon fires at 3. And the T-Wolves still gnashing at the San Antonio ankles. It's a 2-point game.
I've got a dog like that too.
Boy, that brought the crowd back. Robinson, fade away with a left hand for the Admiral. He has 10.
David Robinson is just moving so much better as the season has progressed. Early on, we did that point in the Utah game when they were 6-8 and ready to string up Greg Popovich.
Garnett between the 2 towers, sets it off to Nesterovic. Nice underhanded feed to the rookie. He has 4.
Flip Saunders has got a big plan for Nesterovic in the T-Wolves' future.
Good ball movement, and Avery Johnson, the open man, nails the southpaw sling. And it's 55-51.
Again, leading the team in scoring, Avery Johnson. At some point, the other teams are going to realize that this guy has developed a game that requires him to be guarded at all times now.
Peeler with the drive. A good effort by Peeler to get it back outside. Brandon.
Full 24 now. run it all the way down. Make San Antonio have to play defense for the full 48 seconds.
Drive by Brandon and Robinson with the boards. And here comes Ellie.
Wild shot. Penetrate and dish when you got Duncan and Robinson hovering over the top.
Tim Duncan off the glass. And it's the Spurs by 6. Duncan with a dozen. Sounds like a donut ad. Nesterovic over the top to San Antonio with 4:31 left in the quarter.
The versatility of Duncan, who has done everything today and has showed, oh no, nice little traveling violation to get into the move there, but the turn, the kiss it off the glass, one of the few players who really uses backboard in today's game. A lost art.
Well, your coach, the great John Wooden, he always preached that angle shot off the glass, didn't he?
Oh, you can either shoot it off the glass or you can sit on the bench. It's a very clear choice for us.
Elliott from three-point range and buries his 7th point. And it's 60-51 as San Antonio has its biggest lead of the game with 4:07 left in the third. Timeout Timberwolves. Welcome back. 60-51 San Antonio trying to close out this series in 4. And a reminder, this Thursday is a big night on NBC with that blockbuster lineup. Friends, Frasier, and ER. Must-see TV Thursday. Big finale Thursday of those 3 shows for the season.
Well, speaking of finales, Minnesota better get their game untracked on the offensive end or they'll be out of here. And San Antonio will move on to face the winner of Lakers-Houston.
Brandon with a little skip step and then hits the 2. 60-53, and Brandon with 16 to lead all scores.
If you're San Antonio, you're in control of the game. Come down and milk Duncan down low. He's got the hot hand.
They had all 3 shots in this quarter. Tough catch. And a foul as Mitchell came in on the backside to squeeze Duncan.
Beautiful defense. There's pressure on the ball. Garnett does a good job, but he holds him at the last minute. And Sam Mitchell coming in from your left was just a step late.
And it's Kevin Garnett. Takes the foul, his 2nd. So for this budding superstar, only 9 points today. You really made an interesting point. You said if he were on a better team, let's say he went to San Antonio and Tim Duncan was being ballyhooed as the MVP this year, that you think Garnett's good enough that he could win the MVP?
On the 3 games coming in today, not on today's game, but San Antonio's defense is focused in on Kevin Garnett. And it's been Tim Duncan playing with great support from his team and in a great system has had by far the better game.
Garnett and Elliott battle for the ball, and we'll have a jump ball.
But Kevin Garnett still has a long way to go in terms of skill development, and he needs to learn how to control the emotional outbursts that we've seen far too often today. The push in the back of the head, you see the foul trouble. San Antonio, none at all. Garrett, Peeler, and Smith, all with 4 for Minnesota.
Guess it wasn't a jump ball. Elliott must have been out of bounds when he touched it, and Brandon for 2. And Terrell Brandon continues his outstanding play. 18 today. He scored 16, 18, 16, and now 18.
Terrell Brandon is another one of those great guards from Portland, like Damon Stoudemire, like Steve Jones, our good friend and broadcast partner. Steve was these guys' inspiration when they were
no question
up.
about that. They'd all be quick to admit the powerful influence of the snapper. Robinson in heavy traffic continues to battle the veteran, finally knocked away, and here comes Brandon, and the T-Wolves down by 6 have the hot hand with the ball, dishes off, return from Garnett, pass to the young Slovakian, but he is blocked. 2-on-1, Avery to Ellie, beautiful timing on the pass from Avery Johnson.
David Robinson's defense, masterful. Did it all. Shut down the give and go, shut down the pick and roll, denied the shot, forced the block, ignited the fast break. What more could he do?
Closing in on the 2-minute mark, third quarter.
And they call him soft.
Garnett driving into Robinson, and the foul will be on Garnett, I believe.
That last play, David Robinson rotates over, shuts down everything, knocks the ball down, and then when Nesterovic gets it, the quickness of David. moving so beautifully, ignited the fast break. Avery Johnson, the quick across. But Malik Sealy tried to foul to deny the easy jam by Mario Elie.
It was the other 21 who picked up the foul. Tim Duncan of the Spurs, his third, sends Garnett to the line. And that is his 10th point of the game.
Dick, the difference today is that San Antonio is playing like a team. And Minnesota is coming out playing with individual brilliance. Terrell Brandon having his moments. Kevin Garnett with some rebounds and some plays of athleticism, but not enough passing, not enough rotation.
Malik Rose in as Greg Popovich goes small. David Robinson rested. 57-63 as the T-Wolves pull within 6.
Malik Rose playing the high point on that pressing offensive attack.
Malik Rose, 3 men there for the Wolves. Block, he picks it up, can't score. Mitchell ahead to Brandon. You got to pick up Brandon early. And the Spurs do.
The degree of difficulty of shots that Brandon has hit today have been very high.
Brandon again. Deadly here in the third quarter. He now has 20. And Minnesota fans' hopes rise again. They're within 4, and they're on their feet. Ellie's miss. Mitchell rebound.
Put Mario Elie on Terrell Brandon. That'll solve that problem. Nice strip by Avery.
Terrell Brandon at only 5'11", a 2-time All-Star with Cleveland.
Terrell Brandon coming off that high screen. The rotation is late by Sean Elliott. Malik Rose charged with staying at home with Kevin Garnett. And it's the Terrell Brandon show this afternoon in Minneapolis.
His dad, the manager of University of Oregon's Health Science Center. He has quite a little project there, and business project in Portland. It's corporate offices, TB Enterprises.
And they have the offices right over the Terrell Brandon Barbershop, which is a
good idea.
A local hangout. I've been on the road so much, I need to get the game in Portland so I can go in and get my hair cut. But I'm not letting Dante cut my hair.
You know too much. 63-60, and Brandon cuts it to 2 with 1:03 left in the third. The Spurs had led by 9 in the middle of this quarter. Duncan over Nesterovic is short, but he's fouled. And a reminder, friends, tomorrow night on NBC.
A train carrying a deadly cargo.
He's gonna die if he doesn't get help.
The heroes who fought to save a city.
Daddy.
Atomic Train, NBC Sunday.
That's tomorrow night on NBC as Tim Duncan using some body English. It doesn't fall, so it remains 63-61 here in the final seconds of the third quarter as Jaren Jackson returns. Mario Elie will be rested.
The discipline of San Antonio, able to get what they want. Down low with Tim Duncan. Random pick and rolls for Avery Johnson. Such a difference from what Minnesota is forced to do, basically scramble and have Terrell Brandon just go one-on-one all by himself.
14 points now for Tim Duncan, a 3-point Spurs lead.
Put a bigger guy on Terrell Brandon and see what kind of jumper he's got against that kind of defensive pressure.
Sam Mitchell on the switch. Nesterovic out to Sealy. Malik Sealy, his 4th point, and it's a 1-point game.
What a turnaround for Sealy. An ejection in game 1, 0 for 8 in game 3. Today, a solid contribution for Flip Saunders.
Shot clock and game clock almost the same. Avery Johnson not there. Mitchell with 2, with 1, counts if it goes. What a quarter. Just when it appeared San Antonio was going to run off, a 9-point lead. Terrell Brandon with a hot hand carries the T-Wolves right back into contention. At the end of 3, 64-63. We'll return right after this message and a word from your local station.
This copyrighted telecast of the National Basketball Association is intended solely for the entertainment of our audience, and any retransmission, reproduction, rebroadcast, or other dissemination or use of this telecast, or of the pictures, descriptions, or accounts of this game, without the express written consent of the National Basketball Association, is prohibited.
San Antonio led 60-51, only to be outscored 13-4 in the final 4 minutes of the third quarter, led by Terrell Brandon's 13 in the period. Brandon now draws Antonio Daniels defensively. What a meant for a pass, and it went in. A three-pointer. It was intended to be a pass. Boy, that's when you're really hot. Brandon hit it dead center. Aim for Garnett.
Put those guys in the circus.
That's right. And circus will continue tomorrow. 2 shows. Terrell Brandon hoping to have business in San Antonio on Monday night.
Critical juncture here. They got a hot hand. Terrell Brandon, milk it. We got some reserves in there, Seeley and Tom Hamlin and Sam Mitchell. They have to play well.
Kevin Garnett jumping into Duncan and draws the foul, and Duncan has 4.
Should have been an offensive foul there, but the wild play preceding this. Terrell Brandon trying to get into a pick and roll. They have a set screen above the hoop. Look where Garnett's head ends up on this play. His head is in the net. They used to run that play for Wilt Chamberlain all the time, and they had to change the rules. You could not throw it above the cylinder and just grab it and check it in. Wilt Chamberlain and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar were the only offensive players in the history of the game who they made rule changes to slow them down. Every other rule change has been to help the offense.
Robinson in for Duncan. Duncan sits with 4. And Kevin Garnett now 6 for 10 from the line, and Minnesota's lead is 3. Stolen. And Garnett with a basket, but I believe with a noise you couldn't hear the whistle. It was whistled away at midcourt, was it not?
What'd you say? Now Kevin Garnett taking advantage of the mental breakdown of Antonio Daniels, who jumped in the air foolishly. The San Antonio Spurs grabbing Duncan at midcourt, but nothing's slowing this crowd down right now, Dick. Electric environment here in the Target Center.
Terrell Brandon eludes Avery Johnson. Mitchell inside to Kevin Garnett. And the kid at 22 would be a senior in college had he elected to go to the University of North Carolina, which was his top choice. Has built a 5-point Minnesota lead, 69-64, and they're starting to believe in Minnesota, a 14-1 run.
The NBA on NBC is brought to you by Honda, a winning lineup of cars, sport utility vehicles, and minivans. And by 10-10-220. Dial it and talk up to 20 minutes for only 99 cents.
In desperate times with the T-Wolves facing elimination, sometimes you just have to take the ball and say, get out of my way, and that's what Terrell Brandon has done here. Points by quarter, huge in the third. He's got 16 second-half points, 25 overall. Started with defense for Terrell, stripping Avery Johnson and then casually, smoothly laying it in, coming off pick and rolls, hitting jumpers in everyone's face, and then a heat check. Throw it up from anywhere and see if it goes in. I am shocked that Terrell Brandon has not faced the defensive pressure of Mario Elie when he's as hot as he is right now. Avery Johnson not able to contain him.
By the way, Bill, 13 in the third quarter is a playoff record for a quarter for a Minnesota player. As Jerron Jackson is hammered by Hammonds as he drives to the hole, but that's a playoff foul. You go in there, you're going to get hit. Let's go to Jim Gray.
All right, thank you, Dick. Well, Bill, you just mentioned Mario Elie. He is over on the bench, and a lot of this has taken place, as you say, while he's been over there. In between quarters, he told me his right eye is a little bit cloudy. He's a little bit dizzy. He's just trying to recollect himself by sitting down right now, but he says he will return. But he is not seeing very well out of that right eye, which sustained all the stitches. Dick?
All right, thanks, Jim. Elliot, if you just joined us, took a vicious backhanded forearm to his forehead, driving to the basket late in the first half that sparked several physical encounters that came very close to being an all-out slugfest.
But the game has come back to the beauty and the grace and the elegance that we had in the opening moments, and that's a good sign. The referees established order at the start of the third quarter. Should be a traveling violation as Terrell Brandon. They're going to give him a timeout, and Popovich cannot believe it.
Well, the timeout to Minnesota with 10 minutes and 10 seconds left in this fourth quarter. It'll be a 20-second timeout.
I thought they changed the rule that you couldn't call timeout falling out of bounds any longer. Terrell Brandon stuck along the sideline. They like to get into these random pick and rolls here. He's just out of control, no place to go, and the referees saved him.
Well, coming up next, the third game of our Saturday triple-header. He'll be in Houston and the Lakers. Lakers leading 2-1. First, the East, with the series tied in Miami, New York. Atlanta, Detroit tied at 2. Philadelphia's closed out Orlando, and the Pacers swept Milwaukee. Portland has swept in the West. San Antonio leading a 2-1 here. Lakers, Houston, 2-1. And how about Utah, Sacramento? Those last 2 games in Sacramento, back-to-back, were the 2 best games I've seen all season long.
Perfect basketball. You don't want those to end. Why can't that be 10 out of 13 or 11 or 12 out of 13?
Tell the other teams not to play. Just keep letting Utah. But how about Stockton and Malone, the 2 veterans answering in the fourth quarter, saving Game 5 in Utah for Sunday.
And Vlade playing better than he's ever played before.
The steal, back to Garnett, and it's stolen away by Rose. To Jackson. And Jackson pushed by Mitchell. Sam Mitchell's second.
Curious plays by Minnesota. They have a 2-on-1, and they throw it away.
Lakers in Houston, and boy, Charles Barkley and Scottie Pippen did. They come out with a vengeance in Game 3.
And the question for Scottie is, what have you been waiting for?
9:45 left in the fourth. Avery Johnson, the Spurs down by 4. Into Robinson and the whistle, and it counts as the Admiral trying to get the San Antonio ship back on course and win this series 3-1.
We've mentioned throughout the playoffs in this game how David Robinson is moving so much better, great fluidity. And when we asked him about that prior to this afternoon's game, he said that it wasn't anything in particular. It was just an accumulation of a lot of different things, the hard work, the patience. But he's just, ever since that game against Utah when they were 6-8, he had just been on a steadily increasing graph in terms of how he's feeling and moving.
Avery Johnson called for a hand check. It's 69-68 Minnesota. Avery Johnson with his third foul. Johnson still on Brandon, the 2'5", 11 guards. Garnett, much shorter Malik Rose defending him. And the reach in on Rose, no basket. Be his second foul. Terrell Brandon with 25, the record for a Minnesota player playoff record. Marbury and Peeler both with 28.
Short playoff history. This is their third year. Houston the first year. Seattle last year took it to 5 games.
Kevin Garnett almost throwing that one down, and San Antonio couldn't control, and Mitchell with the answer. It's 71-68 Minnesota.
Sam Mitchell, the native of Macon, Georgia, who gave us Norm Nixon, Otis Redding, and Little Richard. He's a rock and roller himself, he told me.
Whistle before the shot. Well, let's take a look at Sam Mitchell, who is Mercer's contribution to the NBA.
The jumper out of the rim, just rolls out, and then Sam Mitchell, the teardrop right in the face.
Foul was on Hammonds, his second. 8:45 left in the fourth quarter. Robinson And Terrell Brandon in there to tie him up, but a foul is called.
David Robinson has been the victim of some very unjust criticism about being soft, about not being willing to get in there, mixing it up, about not being passionate about the game. When I asked him how he deals with all that criticism, he said, I let my game and the fact that we're winning and the top team in the NBA do all the talking for me. There's no need to respond to that sort of nonsense. The numbers for David in this series. Game 2, the one they lost, he only took 6 shot attempts. He certainly rectified that with a very strong performance in Game 3.
There's his 16th point in this game to pull San Antonio to 1.
How many rebounds for Robinson? He had 18 the last game.
8 today. 9. Brandon to Garnett over the shorter rows. Mitchell with another offensive rebound to set up Joe Smith. Rebound Jackson. San Antonio with a chance for the lead.
Joe Smith giving up so much size to David Robinson inside.
Jaren Jackson, a three-pointer off the clock to Minnesota.
Quick shot, a lot of time on the shot clock there by Jaren Jackson, who is a designated three-point shooter. Flip Saunders trying to get some offensive strategy going, but Greg Popovich, he wants the Spurs to repost Robinson or Duncan in that inside-out attack. Good rotation, Jaren Jackson defensively.
And a good defense from Kersey of the Spurs to deflect that one out of bounds. San Antonio has been out-rebounded by 11. Minnesota 42-31, and Garnett with 15. They out-rebounded them the first 2 games in San Antonio, and then the Spurs who owned the boards in Game 3.
Consecutive air balls from Minnesota as their offense has gone into another one of those droughts.
71-70, the T-Wolves lead. Plenty of time. Smith now on Robinson, back out to Avery Johnson. Jaren Jackson guns. Tough shot, and San Antonio leads 72-71. 10 points off the bench for Jaren Jackson.
Malik Rose just body slamming people in the low post. They're going to call an illegal defense. Jaren Jackson comes off, but keep your eye on Avery Jackson on the right, who adds a little bit of body English to help the ball swish through the net.
A well-traveled Jaren Jackson, 8 NBA teams in 8 years. Now trying to help the Spurs to their first NBA title. Joe Smith, Garnett, and Malik Sealy. He hasn't shot much, but he's been solid. He's third field goal of the game. Back in front, Minnesota.
Terrific ball movement. When Minnesota passes the ball, Dick, they're a lot better when they try to just go one-on-one.
Robinson dishing off to Rose, and no basket. The foul against Robinson as he passed the ball. Not against the T-Wolves guarding Robinson. Better way to express that at the 6:45 mark of the 4th quarter.
The Lakers, the Rockets. Thursday night, Houston came through in the clutch. Charles Barkley and Scottie Pippen led the way as the Rockets stayed alive. But with their backs still against the wall, can the Rockets come through again? Or will the Lakers taste victory and advance to round 2? The race for the rings next.
Back at the Target Center in Minneapolis, Flip Saunders in his 3rd year. Leading by 1, 3 straight years in the playoffs. Battled Seattle tough. First round a year ago.
They lose to Houston with Akeem Olajuwon, the great postman. They play Seattle with not much of a post game, and they're able to compete with them.
Look at the free throw differential. 31 to 14 attempts to the visiting team with 31.
And that's highly unusual, but it's reflective, Dick, of the styles, the contrasting styles. As Mario Elie continues to sit this one out. Jim Gray reporting that He's been having dizzy spells and blurred vision after taking that nasty, and I thought flagrant foul across that right eyebrow.
17 now for David Robinson, and San Antonio reclaims the lead by 1. 6:35 left in the fourth quarter. Garnett and Robinson, and with all the physical play, that was really a light touch for a foul, and third on David Robinson.
This is where Kevin Garnett needs more maturity. He talks so much about guys not being able to guard him, and he talks in a very visible manner. Now, Larry Bird used to do that all the time, and it was always under his breath or to the media in the post-game comments. Kevin Garnett, who's got an unlimited future, has to learn how to accept the fact that, hey, you're going to go to the line and you're going to make big plays. You don't have to draw attention to yourself. Your game does that for you, KG.
Looking for his 16th point and the Minnesota lead. 75-74.
Trapping, pressing defense. Duncan, though, is masterful at executing a high post offense against it.
Nice move by Johnson, and he scores, and he's fouled by Brandon. Just when you think the left-hander's going to fling one of those cross-court passes, he spins and goes right hand for the basket.
The versatility that Avery Johnson has brought to this Spur team. Finally, Mario Elie coming back in as Jaren Jackson goes to the line. But when I asked Avery Johnson about what's been the difference in this great improvement that he's made, he said he's changed his preparation, his routine. He's been watching special highlight videos of his opponents that the video coordinators for the Spurs put together. And he watches those on a continuing basis in his hotel room when he's at home in San Antonio. And that's really paid off as the visualization has come into Avery's game. Nice to see Mario Elie back in.
Avery Johnson with the three-point play. And a quick answer from Minnesota's Kevin Garnett. And the game is even again at 77. With just under 6 to go. Johnson open outside, and he barely rustles the net. He's hitting him so cleanly.
Isn't that the highlight film we showed at the Open today? Dumping into David Robinson, who just kicks it back out. The T-Wolves have seen far too much of that. Great block by the Admiral David Robinson.
And here comes Avery Johnson, 17 points for him. His counterpart, Terrell Brandon, guarding him, has 25.
They're milking Robinson right now. They feel he's got a real advantage over Joe Smith. And why not? He's owned him the whole series.
Sean Elliott outside. Avery Johnson tries to go baseline. Smith cuts him off. With 2 seconds, had to shoot. Garnett rebounds.
The extension of Kevin Garnett and some of these rebounds, Dick. That'll make George Mikan, Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell, everybody proud.
And then Garnett from 17 feet ties it up at 79. 4:46 to go.
How are you going to stop Kevin Garnett with skills like that? Jump shooter, rebounding, dribbling, playmaking.
And the three from Sean Elliott, who's been very selective, has not shot much, but has delivered at crucial times and now has 10 points.
The way these Spurs have all accepted their roles as they've added enough talent to be championship competitors.
Garnett, a little razzle-dazzle, and Joe Smith able to save it by batting the ball off the leg of a Spur.
Kevin Garnett has got to think about when he comes across that lane, he can jump so high. Forget the double clutch. Why come down, go over the top, and just throw down a jam in somebody's face? That'll bring this crowd onto the court. And he's capable of doing it. And I don't know of anybody else in the NBA, with the exception of Shaq, who can make the spectacular physical play above the rim like Kevin Garnett can.
Kind of a remarkable responsibility for a young man, 22 years of age, that he is the franchise. They call him the ticket, the meal ticket. He has 20 points today, 16 rebounds, 6 assists, and it hasn't been one of his great games.
And he's only 22 years old. When this contract runs out, he'll be 27, 28 years old, coming into his prime.
Quick shot by Mitchell. There was 8 seconds on the shot clock, and he draws a foul. And the officials not wanting any more of the sometimes flagrant play of the first half have really tightened up the calls. Quick whistles. Down by 3. Mitchell with his 2 free throws. Tonight, an NBC special, Dave Barlia, extreme stuntman. He'll ride a motorcycle off a 1,500-foot cliff and become a human slingshot, followed by a 2-hour all-new profiler. It starts with Dave Barlia, ultimate stuntman, tonight after the NBA playoffs.
You're the ultimate stuntman?
Well,
I saw that
circus,
today.
only in the circus. I'm thinking about trying that 1,500-foot cliff thing.
Oh, the human cannonball, I think that might be your calling trick.
82, 81. Into Duncan. The corner to Elliott. Good position by Joe Smith for the rebound, and here comes Minnesota looking for the lead.
What can Anthony Peeler do to make a contribution? Very quiet all afternoon.
Brandon double teamed. Open is Mitchell. And it's out of bounds to San Antonio.
Joe Smith has worked his way into a nice game today. It hasn't been special, it hasn't been great, but it's been a vast improvement, and Flip Saunders will live with that.
Spurs by 1, 3.5 to go. Elliott takes it up the lane. Off to Robinson, and no basket. A foul as Elliott was driving. Brandon raises his hand, and that would be his 4th.
The patience of Sean Elliott, being the top swing man, who's got to make the decisions, who's got to execute the plays. Flawless footwork, polished while he was at University of Arizona under the master of today's college game, Lute Olson.
75% shooter from the line. And the lead is 83-81 San Antonio.
But when you watch what he does, as he is having that ball up at the top and the little foot fakes, so reminiscent of what used to set everything up for Michael Jordan. Always deliberate, always with a purpose, and with a positive result for Sean.
San Antonio by 3 as we move toward the 3-minute mark here in the 4th quarter. Smith driving on Robinson. Heartbreak. And Robinson rebounds to Avery Johnson. Thought about going to Duncan.
It's a good decision, though. Just pull it back. You got the control. You got a 3-point lead. Under 3 minutes. Come down. Try to get to the foul line again here.
Robinson and Garnett. Avery Johnson. Look at them swing the ball around. And it's Ellie with a setup to Duncan. And he can't slam it. Ball comes back to Ellie, and Robinson lays it in. And the fans wanted a foul, and so did Coach Flip Saunders.
And they're going to call a timeout, but this is the playoffs, Dick, and the game is right on the line. And they're only going to call something that is wildly obvious as a foul. And while Flip Saunders will do a lot of complaining here, terrific block, people stumbling, no foul there. It was just inadvertent contact. He tried the foul, he couldn't get it done. Good patience and non-call by the ref.
And the Spurs have a lead of 5. Possibly 2:28 left in the Minnesota Timberwolves season. They trail San Antonio, the #1 seed in the West, 86-81. And now each trip down court with added pressure for the Wolves to score.
Offense has been the problem all season long for Minnesota. Will they have one last run in them?
Garnett not afraid to shoot it. Mitchell with a good offensive rebound, blocked by Robinson and picked off by Elliott. Ahead to Duncan, and he is fouled.
The defense for San Antonio, just too tough. Record-setting performances, back-to-back years in Tim Duncan's first 2 years in the league. The ball out of Sam Mitchell's hands and then up the court. The discipline, Sean Elliott finding Avery, who then rewards the guy that made it all happen. And Tim Duncan trying to become the 3rd player in NBA history to win Rookie of the Year his first year and MVP of the Year in the 2nd year.
And you're going to vote for him for MVP, huh?
Absolutely. Yes.
Who are the other 2?
The other 2 would be Bob Pettit and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
You are the historian. Kareem from UCLA and Bob Pettit from LSU. What a great pro he was with the St. Louis Hawks. Trailing by 7. Necessary for the Wolves to click here on the offensive end. And it's out of bounds to San Antonio. As what has haunted Flip Saunders' team in a 25-25 season, cold stretches of shooting. We saw it desperately in the game 3 where they couldn't find anything. They've had some good runs, and then it just turns off like a faucet for them.
And Minnesota has missed their last 6 field goal attempts. In my conversation with general manager Kevin McHale, he says that one of his top priorities is to get a big-time scorer, somebody who can just put points on the board.
Robinson, a very physical duel with Joe Smith. Outside to Elliott. No foul. And the shot clock expires. And the turnover to Minnesota.
A lot of arguing here about the calls and the lack of calls. This Minnesota team with virtually no playoff experience, they have to understand that at the end of these games, the referees aren't going to call anything. That's what makes Utah so tough. San Antonio so tough. Indiana, these teams that have been there. The Knicks, Miami, we'll see them tomorrow. They know that you can get away with a lot in that situation.
1:22 left. A must trip for the T-Wolves. And Brandon with a drive. Lost the ball, but a foul call. And a stare by the officials at the San Antonio bench. I think they're patience is running short as well. David Robinson with his 5th foul. Comes with 1:15 remaining. Robinson 19 points and 10 rebounds. Another double-double for Robinson. His teammate Tim Duncan led the league in double-doubles as he did as a rookie. That's quite it's a 1-2 punch. It's so difficult to stop.
And that's what's frustrating for Kevin Garnett, is that he's virtually playing by himself. Now, Brandon has had a good game, but that's what the hope was, to have Marbury and Gugliotta here. Marbury, of course, capable of becoming a big-time star. Gugliotta more of a role player.
27 points now for Terrell Brandon.
But that's what they have in San Antonio. They have the 2 superstars and then a plethora of role players.
Duncan backing in over Garnett. Rebound Peeler. Still hope for Minnesota. They trail by 5.
Peeler seems to be laboring in his movements.
Tough ball away. Joe Smith. That's 88-85. A dozen for Smith.
No need for fouling or any stupid plays here.
Elliott off the feed from Mario Ellie. 90-85. Just when you pull close and give the other team an easy one.
What are they trapping and scrambling for? They need to dig it out defensively.
Terrell Brandon. Rebound by Duncan.
Now they'll run some clock here. Make them foul. They got a foul now.
Robinson fouled by Mitchell. The clock stopped with just under 26 seconds to go. And a 5 points per advantage.
The T-Wolves cut it to what, 3 with the jumper, and then they just gave them a transition basket. John Elliott, he will not miss that shot many times, Dick.
David Robinson, this is the first. He was 9 for 13 from the line prior to this trip, and he looks now for his 20th point in the Lakers in Houston. Houston trying to force a game 5. They've got the home court advantage against Shaq and company. It'll be an interesting game. Will they be able to call upon those same resources that won the Rockets game 3? We'll be back in a moment. 25.5 seconds remaining. Minnesota with the ball at midcourt, trailing by 5. San Antonio trying to take this series 3-1. Go on to meet the winner of the Lakers and Houston series. Garnett, the inbound pass to Mitchell. Oh, batted away defensively by the Spurs, and Ellie comes up with it. And he is fouled by Peeler. That'll be 6 on Peeler. And he is dismissed. 14.9 seconds. And once again, and it sounds as if it's a chorus of defense from the announcers, but that's exactly what San Antonio comes to the party with, the best defensive team in the league, and that's ultimately what wins this game for them.
And they've shut down Anthony Peeler, who now goes to the bench. Mario Ellie, a phenomenally great free throw shooter, will ice this right here. And the Spurs now can only hope that the Lakers and the Rockets go to 7 overtimes in the deciding game Monday night if Houston can hold on. And the Spurs can go home and get some rest. They've taken care of business. They had a momentary slump when they didn't bring their own offensive game on game 2 when they had 71 points, but today they have methodically eliminated the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Garnett tried the long-range 3. Brandon from the corner. Robinson with a rebound with less than 5 seconds, and that'll do it. Congratulations to Greg Popovich and the San Antonio Spurs, a team that was totally out of sync early in the year, 6-8, and then found the magic. And what a finish for San Antonio, 31-5, and now they have dismissed the number 8 seed, the Minnesota Timberwolves, 92-85. But to Minnesota's credit, this young team of Flip Saunders really battled tough in game 4. Well-earned win for San Antonio. Jim?
Great job, Coach. Great job.
All right, thank you very much. I'm with David Robinson. David, great game, 19 points, 10 rebounds. Do you feel as though Minnesota in the first half was trying to bait you into an incident, and how did you maintain your mental toughness?
Well, yeah, they definitely were, but you know, we got to stay focused. You know, watching the Jazz, you know, in the last few years and how they maintained their composure and did a nice job, you know, we got to learn from some of that stuff too. And I mean, we got a great team. We've been working hard throughout the year, and we've done a good job of maintaining composure.
David, congratulations on a great game. We look forward to seeing you in the next round.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Back over to you, Dick.
All right, Jim, once again, the final score, San Antonio 92, Minnesota 85. Coming up next, game 3 of our NBA playoff triple header, the Lakers and the Rockets, game 4 of their series.